Good evening, councillors, and welcome to the EGM held on the 23rd of January. Do we have any apologies for absence?
Councillor Wenham, Councillor Smith, Councillor Tyler.
Thank you very much. Any interests? No declarations of interest. We go straight into the main item this evening.
Can I just ask for the calling notice to be altered? I know time goes quickly, but we've not reached December 23.
This is very true.
Thanks, Steve. That's a good spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good spot. Well done. As many of you are aware, we recently passed the budget for the town council, and there were concerns raised by councillors during a cost of living squeeze and the difficulty for our residents. Was there anything that we could do to improve the proposition and reduce the burden of tax upon our residents here? Following that meeting, Michelle very graciously spent a significant amount of time in exploring those options to be absolutely sure before we put in the request that it was the best option we could have. Having found a couple of options which don't change the budget itself, but the funding for the budget. I need to clarify that I'll hand over to Michelle to have a look at, but there is some options for us to consider before we finalise this. Several councillors agreed that we should revisit this in the economic crisis that we're really facing as a country, and as a result we had 4 or more requests to revisit this item, which we've held as an EGM this evening. So that's the background and understanding of it. Michelle will probably do a better job of explaining this. That's it.
Yeah, so as Councillor Leslie has correctly stated, the budget that I presented is the budget that I'm presenting. So you've not got a new budget because I'm not proposing that we change the budget. That is what it is. It has to go up. There were a couple of comments from the budget meeting that just made me want to go away and think about it a little bit more. Councillor Taylor got a little bit emotional about people's cost of living, which, to be honest, I kind of echoed, and that made me feel a bit the same way. And then I know Councillor Smith made a comment that he was surprised about how much the weekly cost of the budget is. Now, it's pennies. It depends how much that might matter to some people more than others. But I wanted to go through with you what the breakdown of that was, because I didn't have all the figures in front of me to give you the options that we could do. So what I found out since the last meeting, when you're putting a budget together with this kind of software or any software, you put your income and your expenditure in, and your deficit is essentially what your precept is. So we've got all our spending, all our income in, and we've got a figure. And that figure, to balance the books, is what you ask for as your precept. However, I've now found out that the figures don't have to match if you don't want them to. So some councils make a decision that they are going to put their precept up to match their budget. Some councils will make a decision that they are not going to put their precept up, or put their precept up by a lesser amount and fund that deficit in other ways. And I just wanted you to give you those options. So the budget that I put forward, if we were to go to the 685556 precept, that means for a band D, so this is all worked out on average for a band D, obviously not everything will pay this, it's all dependent on what band, your income, your status in terms of benefits and things like that. On an average band D, with my budget, people would be paying £3.28 a week. If we don't change it, they will be paying £2.92 a week. So that's the difference. It's not huge, but it might matter to some. So I just wanted to explain to you how it works. Now, our budget is looking slightly better than I thought it was going to look this year, because I think we were all quite surprised to get the settlement, which I won't discuss in detail because we're live, but we were all quite surprised to get the income that we did that was unexpected. So what that means is, although we are spending money from reserves on projects, at the end of this financial year, there will probably be a bit of money left that will go back into reserves that we wouldn't have otherwise had. So we could, if we chose to, potentially pick a figure in between these two figures, so that instead of putting the budget up, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, it could be any figure, but instead of putting the budget up 12%, which is quite reasonable in this time, we may choose to say put it up 6% and take the rest of that money from money that will go into our reserves that we haven't bargained that we were going to have. So I've got all the calculations with me. So if there's anything you want to play with or ask me to calculate, I can do it. But it was an option that I didn't know I had. And obviously part of my job is that anything that I discover that might be a benefit or the council should know about, I should tell you. So I'm sorry if I've pulled you back, but that was it.
Thank you. Thank you for explaining that and for doing hard work on this as well. I appreciate the candor as well, because it's important. We have a responsibility to our community and an accountability, particularly on financial matters such as this. So yes, it is worthy of an EGM, absolutely. Any questions? Councillor McKinnon.
Yeah, I was just trying to think. I just want to clarify something in my mind, don't mind. The decision we took last time still stands.
The budget is agreed.
Yeah, and the vote still stands.
Yeah.
Unless we decide this time to change it, then we would have to make a proposal to cancel the last decision and then take a new decision this time.
Just to clarify, the decision this evening will supersede the previous one if it is decided by the council.
Right.
The budget remains the same. It is the funding of said budget that we're really discussing this evening.
Right, so how much we ask Bretland for from our electorate.
Yeah.
And whether you are happy to keep it as it is, which is absolutely fine, or whether you would like to look at using some of what our new reserves will be to reduce that payment for the residents. And that's really to the floor.
I mean, I just in principle, I think, yes, we should look to reduce it. But the big question is, how are we going to balance it? Where are we going to take the balance from to cut the deficit? So I don't really have an idea of what that looks like. But in principle, to reduce it, I think is the way forward.
Because figures going one year and out the other. Can you repeat how much it would be as the budget stands and how much it would be if we changed it, please?
Okay, so as the budget stands,
Yeah.
how much it would be for the resident?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so as the budget stands, £3.28 a week.
A week. Mm-hmm.
If we didn't put it up at all, it would remain at £2.92 a week.
Yeah.
Which is probably a bit much.
Yeah, don't agree with that.
Or we might choose to go somewhere in between.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Right, my understanding is that due to the settlement of said case, we'll have more money potentially in our reserves than we originally thought.
Yes.
So therefore, the original budget was set to balance,
Yeah.
but we could set a lower figure and therefore make the budget balance by using some of the money from the reserve that we didn't think we were originally
Yes.
going to have available to.
Exactly that.
Yeah, yeah. So in effect, you take all our money, what we've got in reserve and what we've got there. If you put the whole lot together,
Mhm.
we have to balance our books. We're not in a deficit.
Mhm.
And what you're suggesting is a way forward to reduce it for the public, the members of the public.
Yes.
By-
So
yeah.
these aren't reserves that are counted now. These are reserves that we're projecting we'll have by the end of the year.
Mhm.
That's it, fiscal year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on that point as well, because it is all taxpayers' money, isn't it? Even the settlement figure coming into ourselves is taxpayers' money. It's essentially money that's coming to the council from a source. And therefore it's the taxpayers' money as well. And I feel the clerk has touched on something that's appropriate and right, that if we weren't expecting those reserves, we've had it come back, it should almost be a dividend to our residents as well, that we all share in the benefit of this, but still balancing the books by incorporating this
So
into the
the,
finance.
the windfall that we've received, rather than being banked, is going to be diverted to supplement the pre-sale.
I think that is I think that's fair,
I think
because
it's
it's within the
absolutely
budget that we agreed in the previous year. And I think it's fair on our residents.
Perhaps I'm,
Sorry, councillor.
do you think it ought to go up? Not, even if it's just pennies, because if you don't put it up, then the next year might be a bigger hike, which will then, it doesn't need to go up,
I'm not entirely sure, but, and this is projected as well.
yeah,
From the projections, there's not a certainty that all of that deficit
no,
of the increase going to the new budget will be covered by the windfall that we've got for this year. So and it's another.
So effectively, that windfall is subsidising, the increase is going up anyway,
yeah,
Yeah, but it's
but it's being
subsidised,
subsidised by the windfall that we've received.
which I think is completely fair to us.
Yeah.
In principle, I completely agree with this. It's just getting to that figure.
Did
Yes.
you want to go first?
Well,
Sorry.
hopefully you'll be answering what I'm gonna ask. But it's, if we take that windfall.
Yeah.
And we subsidise, if you like, what will then be the band D? Can
I've
you
just
do
done
that?
it.
Yes.
So, this is just a suggestion for council. I agree with Councillor Lane. I don't think we should, not Councillor Lane, Councillor Dale.
sorry,
I agree with yourself. We shouldn't not put it up, because the problem with not putting it up is you end up at risk of one day you'll have to put it up too
yeah,
much.
yes, that's fine.
I also wouldn't want to use any potential surplus we might have, because you never know what's around the corner and we don't want to put ourselves so close to the wire. But let's say, for example, so the difference between the old precept and the new precept is about 74,000 roughly. If you halved that, so you said we're only going to put it up 6%, not 12%, for example, that would mean we'd be taking about 37,000 from our reserves, which I'm comfortable with, based on our projected reserves. That would make it 161.34 a year for a band D, which is £3.10 a week. So we've more or less gone halfway between.
Yeah,
So that's 19.
But I can do any figures you want, because I've got it all here. But that would be a kind of halfway house to kind of say cost of living is going up. We have to do this, but actually, let's not be greedy.
I think I like that 6%. I'll tell you why. The National Pay Award, the last year I read about it, is around about that figure as an average.
In the
Yeah, in the private sector. I'm not going to get into that, but I would say it's effectively a net zero increase in most cases, and I quite like that.
So if we go down that route, how much would we have left in our reserves? Or what do we project we will have?
So we've got very healthy reserves in terms of what we would have left at the end of the year. I'm really nervous to give you a figure because you don't know what's going to come in yet. And where it does projections, it's not entirely accurate, because it will say things like, your electricity bill is going to come to Well, I know that we get bills at certain times of year and things will change. But at the moment, that would still leave us with more than 50% to go into reserves. And it is important that we build our net reserves anyway, because we are spending it and we are doing projects. So I don't think there's any risk that it would leave us less than 50% down.
So you're comfortable with that?
That would be probably the maximum I'd be comfortable with, in order to give us a reasonable buffer, because you never know, do you, what's going to happen.
Sorry, Councillor.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know you're not eager to project what the reserves will be, because we don't know what's around the corner, but have you got the figures of what they currently are?
So what they're currently showing that they will be is about 123,000. Whether they'll end up like that, I don't know, but that means sort of taking 37 to give back to the electorate is probably the most I'd be comfortable doing.
Okay. Any other questions?
Well, I think we've got a responsible financial officer, and if it's on her recommendation, then I think we have no reason to mistrust it. And
I don't know who got their hand up first. Sophia, would-
Can I propose that we go with our financial officer's recommendation and take it at 6%?
Councillor Lane, I know you had your hand up beforehand. Did you want to say something? before?
Yeah, I would like to publicly state that there has been internal emails flying around between councillors questioning the integrity of both councillors and staff in the building. I personally feel that if a member of staff or a councillor wants to suggest a way to save the community money and the town council money, then we should listen to them. I also object strongly to the attacks on my personal integrity, both in the written form and the verbal form in local public houses by councillors around this table. And I'm publicly stating, so that the public can hear this, that if there are any more libelous attacks on my integrity via social media or via internal emails, I will not be reporting it to the monitoring officer. My lawyers will deal with it because I am sick to death of it. Last night on social media, us councillors and myself, being chair of events, was accused of blowing smoke up my arse by somebody, because we are spending and have voted to spend the events budget on opening events for the play area that we've just refurbished and for the skate park. Now, I've got nothing to lose in here. Most people around this table don't get paid. We're volunteers. Obviously, we've got staff paid and we have 2 district councillors who are paid. We are volunteers. And I think it's about time we started working together as a team and respecting one another and not throwing accusations, doubting people's integrity via private emails. Any more emails that come in where my integrity is questioned, I will put in the public domain.
You are. Thank you, councillor.
And
You are entitled to say those things in public as well. Sorry, councillor.
Yeah, just as a matter of accuracy, district councillors aren't paid, they receive a member's allowance.
Okay, thank you for the clarity on that, councillor Taylor. I will say just one thing before we move on to the vote. So mindful of the time that we have as well remaining. It's hard for people to really understand the amount of effort that's gone into moving these projects forward and the amount of work that goes into things such as preparing a budget and then having the ability and the compassion to go back and revisit things like this. We all risk having egg on our faces because it seems like we're rediscussing something that's absolutely. I have no problem revisiting the decision if it is for the benefit of our community. And I feel our integrity demands that we do such. This evening demonstrates where our heart is as a town council. More than any words or platitudes I'm concerned, this is a clear demonstration of what we care about, and it's the welfare of our residents. So thank you very much for that. Sorry, Michelle, I know you wanted to say. Or you fine.
Oh, no, all I was going to say is just to reiterate, I'm not trying to lead councillors in any way whatsoever. This is your decision. I just wanted to, I'd learned some new information and I wanted to present the options. So
Thank you.
please don't think I'm
Thank
guiding
you.
you.
Thank you for your integrity on that as well, because it's I think it demonstrates your ability and where your heart is with this community. So
I
you have
still
proposed.
stick with my
You have
proposal.
proposed. Do we have a second? Councillor Montague, show of hands for 6%. That is unanimous. If that is the case, I'm bringing the meeting to a close. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle, for your hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
Joe, brilliant work.
It is,
Sorry, we're just waiting.